I think everyone would agree that we are in a new world here. It wasn't long ago when the media companies controlled everything, where if you wanted distribution, you had to go to a television network or a movie studio. If you wanted to get financing for content, there were a few likely sources. If you wanted talent for to create something, you had to go to talent agencies or management companies. Now, anybody can create content. Everybody has access to simple distribution. The consumer is really the only arbiter. There's very little in terms of a formal review process. There's no metrics. There's no screenings for press. You put something on the internet, and it's good or it's bad. It finds an audience or not, and the consumer is the only one that decides. And recently, YouTube, Rever, and companies such as MetaCafe have introduced standard revenue sharing deals that any user can access. So the question then is begged, what is the role of the true professional in this new world order? I was at a conference, AdTech, last fall, and I was in the audience of a panel where a reasonably well-spoken woman, seemed incredibly bright, opined to the group that in this new world order where anybody can create content and anybody can distribute content and anybody can make a deal with YouTube, why are professionals needed? What is the role of the professional artist? Why are media companies needed? Why do I need George Group? Why do I need NBBC if I can post directly to the internet? And certainly, why the hell do I need someone like you, Brent? Because I can go make a deal directly with YouTube. I don't need an agent. I don't need a lawyer. I don't need a manager. The answer, in my opinion, is the exact opposite. I think that all of the people listed in the first 3 bullet points, a lot of the people in this room, they and we and you, we're vital to the evolution of this platform. And if it's ever going to get where we think it can go as an entertainment platform, it's going to require the hard work of professionals who have been there before. Let's not forget, this is a marathon, not a sprint. We're in the early days. One thing we talk about a lot at the agency is that the first chapter of this book called The Internet, or Programming on the Internet, we've just read the first chapter. We learned a lot from it, but it was only one chapter of many. It taught us the importance of user-generated content. I thought George said it beautifully when he distinguished between the notion of user-generated content and amateur. I think that amateur is a much better label for it. I wish I had incorporated it into my presentation, but we're stuck with UGC. The first chapter taught us that consumers want traditional media, and they want it wherever they want it and whenever they want it, and media companies like George and NBC that respond are going to find an audience. Oops. The first chapter showed us that the advertising community will absolutely respond if you present an advertising-safe environment and quality content, distribute it in a consistent way. But what I thought we learned the most from this first chapter is the notion that we're still in an early stage. We still have yet to reach what I would call a comfortable stride in terms of our ability to program consistent quality content. Today's online content, as everyone knows, tends to fall into one of 2 buckets. It's either, on one end, user-generated or amateur content. On the other end, it's media company content, which is distributed legally or shared illegally. The user-generated content, as many people have alluded to today, is oftentimes great, more often than not so. It's a very unpredictable environment. It's very inconsistent. More than anything, it's a little bit scary for advertisers. Advertisers aren't quite sure what they're getting, and the solution to that is that you sell user-generated content in bulk. You sell it as a network, which means lower CPMs and little premium sponsorship. The flip side is that legally repurposed media content is much more predictable. We know there's an audience. We know that it's quality content. The downside is that it's content that we can get other places. A lot of times, the shows that we see online are shows that we've already seen on TV, or they're on our TiVo. We can get them on iTunes. We can get it on Juiced soon. So it doesn't present a unique viewing experience. Now, I'm not here to say that user-generated content isn't. I think it's an amazing driver for this industry, and I think that repurposed media company content, hopefully legally, is absolutely how we should be leading the way here. But I think that there's something that's missing, and that is quality original programming made specifically for the internet. When I think about user-generated content on one side and the media company content on the other, what I see is a big gap in what I call the middle, and that's what this talk is about. What is the middle? The middle is quality content. It's content that's better than average. It's good to great. It's as good or great as anything that we see on television or in movie theaters. It's created specifically for the digital platforms, both to provide the audience a unique viewing experience, something they can't get anywhere else, but also from a form factor standpoint, something created to be seen on a screen the size of this wall is ultimately going to feel a little different on a screen the size of a cell phone or an iPod or on the window that pops up on your computer. Creating content specifically for this platform is going to help engage the consumer in a much more meaningful way. The middle also stands for consistency. We've seen a lot of really fantastic, what I would call one-offs from the user-generated community, but it's much more difficult to create a consistent experience for the audience. Characters, stories, environments. Something can come back every day, every week, every month, whatever it might be, knowing that they're going to get a quality experience, the same thing they get when they tune in to 24 or Heroes or Lost. The middle is programmable. The middle allows someone like George or clients that we work with or people in media companies or YouTube or whoever it might be to say, the next episode of this show is going to premiere at 9 o'clock on Wednesday. By the way, you can get it anytime you want after that for the next God knows how many years, but at 9 o'clock on Wednesday is when you can get it for the first time. And then the opportunity is how do you create spikes and traffic around that programming event. The middle is marketable. Right now, there's very little direct-to-consumer marketing for original programming on the internet. Why? It's really amazing to me that people are spending real money to create stuff for the internet and just hoping that the audience finds it. Now, of course, everyone in this room wants to be associated with that next big hit, that thing that you send to someone and they send it to someone else, and next thing you know, 10 million people have seen it. And don't get me wrong, the viral nature of the internet is something that we all count on and embrace and get excited about. But there's a lot of good stuff out there that may find an audience, that may be successful if people only knew it existed. The middle is easily accessible. If you market it, you got to tell people where to go. Once they get there, they have to be able to access the content easily. The middle is easily shared. We shouldn't shy away from the notion of sharing videos. We want to share videos in a legal way, and we want to make it as easily as possible. And the middle, of course, more important than anything, is easily monetized. At the end of the day, while we're all interested in flexing creative muscles, we're all interested in new technologies, at the end of the day, the entertainment business is a business. And the middle, original, quality, consistent programming on the internet is going to be easier to monetize than the amateur programming. So, who's going to create the middle? Who's going to be responsible for it? It's going to be professional artists, it's going to be experienced producers, it's going to be funding from traditional and new sources. We'll talk about some of those in a bit. It's going to be trusted distributors, in addition to new platforms, new technologies, specialized service providers, agents, managers, lawyers, accountants, business people, people who know how to make a deal so that it's fair for both sides and so that it's not creating a situation where the next deal becomes impossible. Forward-thinking advertisers and agencies, and discerning consumers. That segment of the population out there, the early adopters, the early adapters, who simply want better content and are willing to digest it if it was only made available to them. By creating the middle, we can build and keep a new audience. We can stabilize and increase CPMs. We can create appointment, something that traditionally hasn't been done on the internet. We can create trusted brands and channels. Brands both in terms of characters and content, but also producers. Who's going to be the Steven Spielberg of the internet? And all of this will help us elevate the medium. So, with all due respect to my friend at AdTech who said that all of us are irrelevant and that I should start, go back to Portland, Oregon and sell the middle needs the professionals in the entertainment industry. It's going to be the artists that create better content. It's going to be agents and lawyers and managers who negotiate market-positive deals. A lot of people in this room are working on some unbelievable groundbreaking technologies that's going to make content easier to access, easier to share, easier to protect. You're going to enable widespread access. Now, what I want to focus on, however, a little bit more in depth role of the artist. At the end of the day, I am a talent agent, and artists are our business. It's my belief, and it's the belief of our company, that exceptional talent is rare. We think that it's this way for virtually any industry. It's not limited to entertainment. It's architecture, it's traditional art, engineering, music, of course, film and television, photography, sports. Exceptional talent is unbelievably rare. The ability to inspire people, move people, to touch millions and millions of people that maybe you've never met, that doesn't happen very often. And because of that, because it's so rare, exceptional artists can elevate their medium. Michael Jordan can elevate his sport. An architect can elevate that art form. And again, because of the scarcity of this talent, traditionally, compensation is reflected. So the question is, as we talk about this middle, it's going to be exceptionally talented artists that create the content that's going to help drive and elevate the medium. It could be the exceptionally talented internet artist. It's not to say that these artists are only going to come from traditional media. We believe very strongly, and in fact, we've built an entire business around the notion that we believe there's a lot of amazing original voices coming out of the internet, people that may or may not have ever had a shot to contribute to the entertainment ecosystem, but because of the internet and the unique tools that are made available through the internet, they now have their moment to shine. Our online division is in business specifically to identify and represent these people. But traditional artists are going to have their day as well. Film and television actors, writers and directors, producers and production companies, and forward-thinking media companies. I don't want to overlook the notion that there are internal entrepreneurs at everywhere from Comedy Central to Touchstone to Turner to AOL to NBC, people who are sitting in conference rooms whiteboarding great creative ideas, and they reach out to us and people in the artistic community and say, let's go build this because we think there's an audience. From my point of view, the trick is, how do you get these exceptional artists to actually want to participate in the medium? How do you get these exceptional artists to stop what they're doing, whether it's a writer on The Daily Show or The Simpsons who wants to take time away from pursuits to create something for the internet? Maybe it's an actor on hiatus, or maybe it's someone who's been doing amazing things on the internet whose day job is selling real estate, or they're an assistant, or they're a doctor or a lawyer. How do you incentivize these people to take the internet seriously, to create the content that we need to be so great that it can help elevate the medium? The trick is that, even though content is king, traditionally, the last few years as this thing has evolved, we've not been enjoying the financial benefits of the online revolution. We need to work together, everyone in this room and everyone outside of it that we deal with on a regular basis, to create an environment that's artist-friendly, that says, come work with us, don't be scared, it's going to be easy. The trick right now is that oftentimes it's more difficult to get a company to finance a series of internet shorts than it is for an artist to walk into a major studio and get financing for a huge blockbuster film. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that difficult. This is something where the barrier to entry is so low and the potential upside is so high that people need to start taking chances, buying into the notion that content is king, buying into the notion that the creation of this middle will help elevate the platform, knowing that if we build it the right way, the returns downstream are going to be momentous. All this leads to the notion that we need to encourage and reward artists who are willing to create for the platform. We need to figure out how to market specific brands. I think that everybody knows somebody who wants to be a star. They're sliding screenplays under bathroom stalls. They're sending their headshots and resumes to talent agencies and casting agents. They're doing a student film that they hope one day gets seen by somebody at a festival. So God, willing, someone out in the real world will see it. If we can figure out a way out to this community and say, hey, through the internet, you can become a brand, and not just a brand that is financially inconsequential, but a brand that is monetizable, and a brand that is a financially sound entity. We think that we can encourage people at all levels to start thinking about this as a platform. What I'm gonna be really excited the day when somebody enrolls in film school or entertainment school, and their dream is to become again, the Steven Spielberg of the internet. When they say, I'm not using the internet as a stepping stone to film or television, but rather I know that there's an economy there that can support me as an artist. I can make a living doing nothing but creating digital content. That's where I think we need to head. There's some interesting case studies that I'd be remiss not to discuss. And to me, it's proof of the concept that if you build an artist-friendly environment, if you make the notion of developing and producing and distributing original content easy, that really fantastic voices will emerge and people will be excited to work in this medium. Our online division, which was announced last fall, UTA Online, identified a company called Big Fantastic. They had done a series on the internet called Sam Has 7 Friends. It was something that we hadn't seen before. It was 80 episodes told in consecutive days, 90 seconds each, of a murder mystery drama. The tagline was fantastic. Samantha Breslow has 7 friends. December 15th, 2006, one of them will kill her. And it was well acted, it was well produced, it was well shot. The entire thing was done so well, especially given the shoestring budgets they were working on. Well, we immediately chased after them, signed them, and their next project was just announced yesterday, where Michael Eisner, through his venture capital firm Tornante, through its new broadband studio, is now producing their next series, which is another 80-episode series called Prom Queen. That's an example of people that come out of the internet. The Lonely Island guys, when I say that, you may not know who that is, but these are guys that have made a career out of creating the best digital content. Agents at our agency identified them years ago because they were creating fantastic stuff online and posting it themselves. This was before YouTube, before the user-generated phenomenon. They were signed to the agency by our television department, where ultimately they landed as regulars on Saturday Night Live, 2 on the writing, 1 as an actor. It was at SNL where they created first Lazy Sunday, and then, pardon my French, Dick in a Box, 2 of the most wildly successful internet shorts that we've seen. These guys are living proof that not only can you cross over between mediums, but that if you treat the internet as a platform to be taken seriously, you can create content that is unique to the platform that everybody's going to enjoy. Zay Frank is a client that the agency's been working with for a little while now, and I think that he's one of, if not the most unique personalities on the internet. He is proof that it doesn't have to be linear programming, it doesn't have to resemble anything traditional, but if you have a unique voice and a unique skill set, you can create something special. He has a daily show, which unfortunately is winding down, but it's one of the most popular video podcasts on the internet. His website, in addition to the show, features interactivity and community and interesting calls to action. And the community that he's cultivated that I think is really unique, and I encourage people to check it out if you're not familiar with Zay Frank and zayfrank.com. Ask a Ninja is probably one of the most well-known. Again, proof that interesting voices can elevate out of the internet. These guys created this silly little video podcast called Ask a Ninja that, done consistently with a high quality, is something that could turn into a cottage industry. These guys are full-time Ask a Ninja guys, although they have a company and we're working on a lot of other projects. But Ask a Ninja is a self-sustaining franchise at this point, something that probably couldn't have happened several years ago and certainly couldn't have happened prior to the internet. The last case study is Channel 101. I mention this because channel101.com pre-existed YouTube. It pre-existed the video sharing sites. It was a place where professional artists, mostly writers, actors from Hollywood, would go to, on their own dime, create original content. They'd upload it to the site, and then the community of users would rate the videos much like a traditional network. And the way they did it is that the top-rated shows would screen at a local comedy club or theater, and the lowest-rated shows would get canceled the way that television series get canceled. Channel 101 is still up and running. You can check it out. There's actually a TV show that's in development based on the notion. But I mention it only to say this. It's proof that professional artists, people from film, people from television, big actors, that they will play in this if you make it easy and if you make it fun. So the last slide is this. A rising tide floats all boats. If we work together, we can create a marketplace that is enticing to the best content creators. If the most talented creators actually do work in this medium, we can create this elusive but all-important middle. And with this middle in place, we can shepherd in the next generation of online video, and one that is hopefully more enjoyable and profitable than anything we've seen. Feeney.
Okay, we've time for a few questions, I think.
Whatever you'd like.
Yeah. Any questions from the audience? He certainly gets an award for best comeback from a technical failure.
You know, it's...
Any questions? Yes.
Hi, that was really great. Thank you very much. Very positive stuff. Just interested to know if your company is actually actively interested in finding the type of people and the type of organizations that you're talking about here.
In terms of artists or in terms of executive artists?
Well, actually both. Creating communities and then empowering those communities to create content, which is like what I do with Blast Space and Blast Beat. I don't know if you saw some of the students here earlier on. So in that, but we're finding artists because actually the kids themselves are finding the artists and finding what is good for them rather than people in A&R, you know, in ivory towers in
Sure.
large buildings that really don't know what the kids want. So, I mean, it's about empowering the kids, getting the kids to tell you what they want, and then supplying the kids what they want.
I think it's a really interesting notion, and it's something that we're very cognizant of, that the old guard of Hollywood may not know how to recognize what talent is for this next generation. It may not know what good content is for the internet or who the creators are that can actually get it done. We are looking for new clients. Traditionally, agencies have had a very rigid closed-door policy for unsolicited material. For legal reasons and otherwise, it's been very difficult for us to accept screenplays, short films, headshots. Our online division is bucking that trend. We believe in the user community. We believe in voices emerging out of this, and we're the first agency for our online division only. Please don't send the screenplays. That's accepting unsolicited submissions, and we actually, as Michael referred to in his introduction, we developed a relationship with VIO, which was announced earlier this year, where we're creating a channel on their network where we will, once it's up and running, which will be soon, refer all of these unsolicited submissions to this channel as a way for us to aggregate these submissions and give our agents a place where they can go every day, several times a day, in order to look at it. So anyone that is interested in being the agency knows that there's this one place where they can post their content where they know we're going to see it.
Okay, any others? Okay, well, very good, Brent.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks, guys.
Okay, we're going to go to a break, and we will reconvene in about 20 minutes. I think the time is 10 minutes after the